My first big break was covering the Penguins in 1997. I've got a gigantic framed photo of the igloo in my man cave over there. That was basically my office for a long time. I've seen this team win Stanley Cups. What they gave us, 3 Stanley Cups in 8 years. And fittingly, one of them was won in that city, San Jose, that you saw the Penguins hit rock bottom last night. We're here. We're here. This is it. It's over. And what the Penguins need to do, and it's never been clearer, what they need to do is tear it up to the extent that that is possible, given all the no movement, no trade clauses, all that stuff, all the difficulties. I know about all the difficulties. Seems to me that Jim Rutherford, Ron Hextall, Kyle Dubas, every GM in Penguins history has gotten very, very creative when it comes to adding players they need. It's time to get very, very creative with getting rid of players by any means necessary. It's time to tear this up. I mean, it just couldn't be more obvious. I came on the air, 3 weeks ago, and said, there's been a lot of evidence in this direction, but for the first time, I'm calling for the Steelers to move on from Mike Tomlin. There's been a lot of evidence in this direction with the Penguins, and it's not really a Mike Sullivan situation, although, you know, based on the entire history of the franchise and the league, he should have been fired by now already, but it's way bigger than that. And the Penguins need to do what the Steelers won't, which is embrace the suck, so to speak. Be where you are. You didn't intend to go to the bottom of the league this soon, I'm sure, but you're here. So be there. Buy a house there. At least rent an apartment there. Perhaps a nice condo. Limits. Don't try to move up. Don't do the Steeler thing. And you know, literally or figuratively go for that streak of non-losing seasons. Salvage something out of this. Make a run to the edge of the wild card race. I mean, it's really still not that far away. 48 points to 55 if you look at Tampa and the Penguins, although the Lightning have 4 games in hand. You know, if you added and went crazy here, like the Penguins did last season with their meaningless sort of fraudulent run toward the playoffs, forget it. Forget it. Embrace this. It's time. They hit rock bottom in San Jose last night against a horrific franchise, a horrific team that going into the game was the worst team in the NHL, the San Jose Sharks. They had won one of their previous 10, if I'm not mistaken, and the Penguins lost. The Penguins have suited up 52 times this year. They've won 14 games in regulation. Did you hear that out there? In 52 games this season, the Penguins have won 14 of them in regulation. Their goal differential is minus 40. Now hold on to your seats for this one. That is the worst in the Eastern Conference, doubling up anybody else, including the Buffalo Sabres. The Buffalo Sabres are minus 20. The Pittsburgh Penguins are minus 40. The only teams in the league that have a worse goal differential are the Sharks and the Blackhawks. The only teams in the league with a worse points percentage, think of it as winning percentage, are the Buffalo Sabres, the Blackhawks, the Sharks, and I think the Predators, if I figured out the math correctly. That's it. The Penguins are a bottom 5 team right now in the NHL. It's sad. It sucks. But in another way, it does provide hope. Stay there. Be there. The law of the universe is what expands must contract, often in direct proportion to the dimensions of the expansion. And man, the Penguins expanded greatly over this time with Sidney Crosby and Gino and Letang and Fleury and Murray and the rest. They expanded like few teams in the history of hockey. They won 3 Stanley Cups in 8 years. Sort of a borderline dynasty. And they had a chance in so many of those other years. Be thankful for that, and in an odd way, be thankful that they have sunk to the bottom